warning. The Catholic Man Show contains high levels of manliness. If you think you may be too weak to withstand the manliness represented in the following program, please do yourself a favor and stop listening now. If you choose to continue in spite of this warning, if at any time you feel yourself overcome by the manliness, stop immediately and consult your closest medical professional. And now, for the not-so-fair, faint, or frilly, we present The Catholic Man Show.
Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles, and this is the Catholic Man Show. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to Facebook Live. Welcome to YouTube, podcast, radio, wherever you're listening. Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're gonna have a great episode today, Dave. This has been a work in progress with the video. So hang in there with us, but the studio looks a little different.
Yeah.
We've been putting in some work, putting in the hours, changing up the studio a little bit.
A lot of trial and error.
Yes, there's been a lot of trial and error.
So much.
Yesterday, you and I were sitting here trying to figure out all the camera angles and lighting and all the stuff that goes into videoing a podcast. And we ended it, and it was like, well, the angles weren't right, the lighting's not right. We didn't get a lot done. And then you said something like, no, we actually got a lot done.
We got a lot done. I felt like Thomas Edison coming up with 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Yeah.
So that we could finally make a light bulb, so to speak.
If this is your first time listening to the Catholic Man Show, we highlight a drink, or we enjoy a man beverage. We review it. We enjoy it. Enjoy each other's company in the process. We have a man gear that we highlight, that we talk about, and then we have a man topic. Those are the three things we do. Let's jump into the beverage this evening. It's brought to you by the Juan Posada. Shout out to Juan for being our producer. He's the guy behind the cameras and the mic this evening. He's helping us with the camera angles. Because last time, as you guys know, our camera angles weren't great. So he's the one that's helping us with all of this. He's our producer. Dave, we're really stepping it up in the world these days. We have a producer and a bodyguard.
Indeed, we must be very important people.
I mean, to have Jim Spencer as our unofficial bodyguard and to have Juan Posada as our unofficial producer, that's saying something.
I agree.
Something, at least. I'm not saying it's good.
We have so much unofficial stuff.
So this evening, Juan brought this over to us from Kansas City. He was in Kansas City hanging out with his goddaughter and saw this, picked it up for us, brought it back to Tulsa. Monk and Honey is what it's called. Monk and Honey. It is by Torn Label Brewing Company out of Kansas City, Missouri. So let's get going on this. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.
So it's a Belgian-inspired beer. It says table beer. Soft sweetness. It uses Belgian yeast. And they use local honey to give the beer a distinctively Midwestern twist. I'll display the can here for our beverage cam. What do you think?
The honey is not as dominant as what I thought it would be, with it being Monk and Honey. You can have there's a little hints of honey in there, but it's not predominant. It's a very Belgian ale style beer. I mean,
it definitely has the Belgian taste.
Mm-hmm. It actually tastes a lot like, in my opinion, a lot of those Monk ales, the Belgian Monk ales that are brewed,
which are also good,
which are all very good. So it's a great
excellent
beer.
Yeah. So if you're in Kansas City, is that where it was, Juan? Kansas City. Swing by and get some of this, because
Monk and Honey. It would be a good. It is a good summer ale. It's a good summer ale.
You know, I feel like the craft beer scene gives us all the outlet we've always wished we had to support local. You know what I mean? To support your local whatever. Now finally, all the hipsters in the world, all the millennials, even the baby boomers,
Right.
they can finally buy local real easy because you just you almost can't miss.
Right.
These days, all the beer is so good. You just don't run into a whole lot of bad beer.
No, I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree, and I'm glad you brought up the whole local aspect of it. It's one of the things I really like about the brew scene. The craft brew scene is that it's a local thing. I actually stopped by a brewery this evening, dude. I went and I took my boys, my whole family.
Took him to the brewery.
No, we went to PBR, Professional Bull Riding.
Today. How was that,
dude? It was so much fun, and the boys just ate it up with a spoon. I mean, I had to give them a spoon because they were eating it up. It was really good. It was a lot of fun, and we hung out. We watched them all. Because the Tulsa is pretty big with PBR, Professional Bull Riding.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, Garth Brooks sang about it in Rodeo.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty big deal. It was so much fun to watch them, and they got so excited. Even Anna, like whenever it hit the 8 seconds, there's a few times it hit the 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Steam got shot up, and the lights were all going crazy. And Anna freaked out every time and was clapping. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Afterwards, on the way home, because we were downtown and there's quite a few breweries there, I swung by a brewery and picked up a nice Irish ale from the guys that will actually be interviewing at some point soon.
So what brewery did you go to?
Welltown Brewing.
Okay. I haven't been there yet.
We're going to be interviewing them at some point to talk about Brewing 101. Talk to them about it as well. Which
is something that I am very interested in. And I think a lot of guys are very interested in brewing, depending on how easy it is.
It's kind of intimidating as well.
Right, yeah. That's kind of my feeling is that it's just not easy to do. I would love to brew beer for myself, just kind of for fun as a hobby.
Right.
But I think that it's pretty involved, so maybe it's not.
I have a feeling
maybe it is.
I have a feeling I would act like the same way I do whenever I have people over and I smoke a brisket or pulled pork. I'm so involved with like making sure it tastes good for everybody that it's almost not fun, but it's
unmotivating.
Yeah, it's a progress.
You have to really build up the energy to do it. Yeah, right. It's got to kind of be a big
because
a big event.
I just don't want it to be not good.
Yeah,
that's what I would worry about.
But also, I wonder how much of this, I feel like smoking a brisket, a pork butt, you end up doing all this stuff, and does it really change the flavor much?
I know.
Like pulled pork. Oh, I inject it versus, I put onions in the water pan, or, it's like, does that do anything? Or is pulled pork just delicious?
Right.
It's just good. So
right.
Just cook it and let's eat it.
Dude, have you ever cold smoked anything?
No, but anyway, just wanted to say, I wonder if brewing beer
is kind of this.
I feel like it's not.
I
feel
think
like
so
if you put onions in the beer, it's actually going to make a difference.
Yeah, I agree. But have you cold smoked anything before?
I have not. Is this anything like Cold Fusion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
A lot of people like cold smoked cheese to get like smoky cheese or fish.
Okay.
Or bacon. You can cold smoke bacon.
I don't even know what cold is. It just like no heat, just smoking, like putting smoke on something?
Yeah. So it's like a firebox is way far away, and it's channeling all the smoke into the area, the compartment where the said food is.
Yeah.
And so it's actually only about 85 to 90 degrees, but you get all the smoke.
Smoke is sticky. That's what I think about smoke.
It is.
That it's sticky.
Which is good because it sticks to whatever you're smoking.
Right.
So I'm going to try it at some point. You can't do it in the summertime because it's too hot, but either in the fall or early spring, you can like smoke cheese or something. I'm going to try that at some point.
How are you going to do it?
Carefully.
I mean, you'd have to have a device or something to. keep
Well-
the firebox far away from what you're doing.
Right, and I think that there's like some contraptions that you can kind of do
Okay.
online. I've been looking on YouTube,
Okay.
and that basically makes me an expert at it.
What if you just like put a bunch of cheese inside a balloon and then filled that balloon up with smoke and just let them sit in the balloon?
It's gonna taste like rubber.
Well, you'd have to get a food balloon.
This is stupid. This is a stupid conversation.
I'm just saying, like, then you wouldn't have to constantly be generating smoke all the time.
Let's
You
get back. Let's get back to the
just
beer.
get like
Let's
one
get back to the beer because we're
little bit of smoke.
This is bad. This is bad.
I think it could work.
What do you think about the beer?
I think it's delicious. I think it tastes just like a light, Chimay blue, kind of. Like a
Juan, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up. Okay, good. He agrees.
Okay. I didn't know what he was thumbing up or thumbing down.
Well, what we've been discussing.
Good. I think it's wise of him to agree with me.
Okay, so this evening we're going to be talking about distraction in prayer. I'm really excited about this. So if you're on Facebook Live right now, give us a question that you may have on distraction in prayer. Hopefully we can answer it. We're going to answer at least one question in between each segment on Facebook. So if you're just now listening on podcast or radio, on Sunday nights typically we air the show early on Facebook Live. So you can go and hang out over there, send us some questions. There's at least 10 people, one probably being your mom, one probably being my mom, our wives. There's 4.
Don't forget Jim.
And Jim Spencer normally at least listens for a little while.
Yeah.
So go over there and give us a couple questions if you want. We're going to jump into the man gear as soon as we get back. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. Good job, Juan. So you go to number 2. You hit number 2 over there, Juan, on the Cubase.
You just double click that thing.
On the
yeah.
2. Yep.
There you
okay.
go.
So now all you have to do is hit record whenever we're ready to go.
Okay.
Jump over to Facebook.
All right, let's see if we got any questions.
Probably not. How many people are watching? Is there anybody watching?
17.
17.
Wow, that's way more. I'm shocked about like the whole Facebook thing because if the over under when we first started, I thought would be
2.
7. I thought 6 to 7 would be a strong one.
Matthew James.
Okay, I did ask if you could smoke something, what would it be? And I got bacon,
That's a good one.
which is always good.
Yes.
Margot, shout out to Margot.
Turn your volume off.
Sorry.
Oh, I thought it was mine.
Sorry, it's mine. Margot's always watching. Margot's a good friend of. I mean, Margot. There's a special place in heaven for you, Margot, for having to endure listening to us and watching us.
And
There,
it's near to Bless Fulton Sheen's.
it's near Fulton Sheen, is what Juan said. That's not what I said.
That is incredible.
I'm not sure about that. Listening while I read dissertation on moral distress. Brian Tomlinson, good friend Brian Tomlinson said that. Juan, any other questions that we should do before we jump into the next segment?
Well, Matthew James asked, how do you guys keep your thoughts focused during prayer? Which is pretty much the topic that we're going to talk.
Yeah, Matthew.
So Matthew, hang in there.
Yeah, Matthew, you're gonna have to hang in there on your question because we're gonna get there. Donna Wooten is watching. Donna Wooten.
I can answer Matthew's question. I don't.
Hold on, I was gonna give a shout out to Donna Wooten.
Sorry.
She's a dear friend, a very sweet individual.
She's a lovely lady.
Lovely lady. Has a great husband and 2 daughters. Shout out to Donna Wooten. Okay, Matthew James, his 7-year-old and him are watching. Thank you, Matthew, and your 7-year-old. Whatever your 7-year-old's name is, Matthew, I hope that he grows up to be a virtuous individual who achieves everything that God wishes. So, what is the best way to not easily be distracted? Jeff, I'm glad you asked this question, Jeff, because I'm actually going to talk about this in our top man topic. So Juan, let's go ahead and let's get to the gear because most people are wanting to. Jasmine and I are on. Shout out to Jasmine and Michael Savath. But let's go ahead and get to the. My mic is like, I keep wanting to adjust it. I'm not used to I'm not used to having a stationary. I move my mic around with our radio arm that we normally use, so I'm not used to not being able to move it.
All right.
So I keep like fidgeting with this.
Sorry about you, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Let's go.
20 people on.
20 people. I'm so
Let's
sorry.
do the next segment.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan in studio.
With Juan hanging out with the video on my side while you're talking. Still figuring this out.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably better looking anyway.
It's debatable. It's really debatable.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, we'll ask my wife. She is always right, dude.
So is mine. It's incredible.
I don't trust her on this topic though. That's the thing.
I'm glad.
Okay.
All right.
What's our man gear for today?
We're just gonna jump into it. Let's just jump into it. I think that there's a topic that we have not discussed on the Catholic Man Show very much. And
Certainly not enough.
I think that we have done a disservice
to the world.
To the world. To us, really.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. To us.
To us. I mean, we have not talked about this enough, which I feel like is not only a disservice to us and to our listeners, but also is just like, not like, this topic is part of the DNA.
It's foundational
of our show,
of life,
and yet we haven't really discussed it too much.
It's a sin. It's almost a sin.
I know, and that's unfortunate because I went to confession this week, and
that's good.
I didn't confess this though. That I haven't talked about this enough.
Did you intentionally not confess it?
I did not intentionally.
Yeah, so you're good.
Okay. And
yeah.
I do say at the end of my confessions, for everything that I was intending on saying and I can't remember at this very moment of time, and everything that I can't recall.
Do you have to say that?
I don't know.
I don't think saying that like does.
I know. I don't either, but I feel like it's almost like one of those Catholic hacks.
There are a lot of Catholic hacks out there.
Yeah.
You know, like indulgences. You have to
do certain things at certain times.
No, you don't get indulgences on accident.
Right.
You have to intend to receive an indulgence.
Right.
So, like, you can say, part of your prayer, just say, that also that I might receive the gift, the grace for any indulgences I could have received today. Like,
ooh, that's a good Catholic hack.
Yeah, exactly. The guy who's on right after Ray Garindy.
David Anders. Dr. David Anders.
I heard him, he said that on his show, and I was like, oh, nice.
I like that.
We should put together a list of Catholic hacks someday.
I think that would be fun. That'd be a fun episode.
I'll let you do it.
Yeah, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So our man gear today is a bacon press. We don't talk about bacon near enough on this show.
So bacon, that's the thing that we were talking about.
Right. But so it's actually a bacon press. Okay? And so
is that like
let me lay it out.
Okay, sorry.
So a bacon press is made out of cast iron.
Yeah.
So it's a cast iron plate, either rectangular or circle, typically. I haven't seen, there may be octagon shapes that I'm not aware of.
I'm sure you could get them in any shape if you wanted to.
I would suggest either the rectangle shape. I would actually suggest the rectangle shape out of that or the circle.
Well, you want something that's long as the bacon. Yeah.
So what you do is when you're frying bacon, because really, let's be honest, that's about the only way you should cook bacon is fry.
Some people put it in the oven, and it's like, why?
Or the microwave even.
Oh.
And it's like, guys, come on.
They make
let me just say something. Cooking bacon in the microwave is just a hair above turkey bacon. Just a hair above.
A thick hair.
A thick hair above turkey bacon.
I can stand with you on this, but it's a thick hair.
Sure, but it is. But
do you want me to fix this for you?
No, I don't want you touching it.
Like, You need to stop touching it.
So the bacon press. So here's what happens when you're frying bacon. You know that sometimes if it's a fatty piece of bacon, it curls.
Yeah, a lot of curling.
It's curling.
Yeah. Which I like.
To eliminate the curling, if you want to eliminate the curling, you can cut the bacon in half and cook them in halves. That helps eliminate some of the curling. But so you're curling. So the bacon is curling when the fat of the bacon is not cooked all the way. That's okay. Sometimes, it gives it a nice chewy flavor. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it curls so much,
the bacon doesn't get cooked
doesn't
on
get
the
cooked.
edges. Yeah.
And I'm not going to debate this. This is a scientific fact. There is no such thing as, if bacon is not crispy, it's not cooked well enough. Like, it has to be crispy. There's no soggy bacon in this world.
I don't like.
No, I already said that I'm not debating this fact. This is just like scientific fact.
Yeah, okay, well, you can whatever. I don't know what kind of science magazines you're subscribing to. I like crispy bacon. I am the guy who I like bacon no matter how it's cooked.
Okay.
I don't like it when it gets too crunchy.
Well, it can't be so crunchy where like it's almost so brittle that when you drop it, it just shatters into a million pieces. Like it's so cooked.
Yeah, well, it
like
gets
that.
hard and like it hurts to chew it
Right.
at some point.
So the bacon press, cast iron, you put it down onto the bacon, and it gives it a nice even cook all the way through. Like that way, you're not having to worry about those edges that are curling up, or sometimes if you get the grease too hot, the middle of piece of the bacon, the middle of the strip, gets cooked too quickly.
Sure.
And it starts getting black in the middle, and then the edges are still uncooked. And so this bacon presses down, and it cooks the bacon evenly, so you get a nice, crisp, flavorful piece of bacon every time.
So what I think the key is to always have a sacrificial pack of bacon. The first thing you do is you just throw a whole bunch of bacon in the pan and cook it all. You make bacon bits out of it. What that does is it fills the pan full of bacon grease. Because, it's always at the very end, once you finally have established a base of bacon grease.
I think it's all about that.
It's all about the base of bacon grease. Then you can finally cook the bacon evenly. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do. You know what's really funny? Let me just tell you something really quick.
Yeah.
Juan has not hit record on the Cubase, and so this whole segment has not been recorded.
That's okay. We can pull the audio from the video.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure how long we've been going.
Yeah, I don't know how long we've been going.
It played the music, though.
It did.
Well, it's not playing right now.
It definitely is stopped.
Okay. Well.
So, what do you want to do? How do you want to play this?
It's a good question.
Unfortunately, we're on Facebook Live, and so we can't, if it was...
Here's what I think is going to happen. At some point on the podcast, this segment is just going to come to an end.
Okay. Okay, we'll just make it
We're going to carry on
until we feel the 12 minutes.
Podcast listener, at some point,
this is over.
We're going to just keep going. But for you, it's just going to stop.
Because we can talk about bacon anyway for a long time.
A long time. But,
So-
do
Okay.
you see what I'm saying? I've never actually done this. This is just an idea that came to me right now about the sacrificial pack of bacon. So you go get some cheap bacon. All you're just using it to get the grease. But obviously, you're not going to just waste the bacon. So you just cook it up. Don't worry about cooking it just right, because you're just going to make bacon bits. But now you've got nice grease to cook in. Because personally, I'm not sure how I feel about a bacon press. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I don't know about it.
Are you agnostic?
I'm unresolved.
I just bought one.
Juan just bought one as we're talking.
We knew that he was going to do that. We joked about that earlier.
And he bought one.
And he did do it.
There's other things that you can use a bacon press for.
I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll raise my hand next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just keep going.
So have you done this? Do you have a bacon press?
I personally do not have a bacon
Have
press.
you used a bacon press?
Very.
So do you
very
end up
frequently.
with like flat bacon?
No, there's still a little bit of wiggle to the bacon, but there's not.
Okay.
But it's not like a so curly that you get the chewiness.
Yeah, because I'm with you. The curl, especially when they really start to curl.
Right.
What I typically do is just flip it early
Right, and you have to just
to
get there and
counteract
flip it,
the curling.
back and forth.
But that's just what I was worried about. Is bacon needs to have squiggles.
sure.
Okay, and so I was
Sure.
just like, are we talking about totally flat bacon here? Because I wouldn't be down with totally flat bacon.
I don't think it affects the flavor whatsoever.
No, but there is more to bacon than just flavor. There's transcendentals.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, I agree. Like that. There's other things that you can use your bacon press for. I looked it up online, and you can also.
Branding. You can give yourself a nice brand.
That is true. I will not disagree. You can also take hash browns.
Okay.
Okay, and like put them in the fry, or in some grease. You can set the bacon press down on the hash browns, and according to fabulousfoods.com, I've never tried this, but
Okay.
you can put the bacon press down onto the hash browns, let them set, and you don't have to flip the hash browns, and they both sides get golden brown.
But you have to have a hot bacon press. Is that the key?
It doesn't say that to put it
Well,
on ahead of time.
It's not going to brown both sides.
Well, my assumption is as the grease is heating and everything, you have the potatoes in there, you put them on there, everything gets hot at the same time.
I think that you have to have a hot bacon press.
Well, I don't know how you would heat that up ahead of
Well,
time.
you'd put it on the stove.
Yeah,
It's
I
cast
guess so.
iron. You just,
Sure.
turn it just like it's a pot or a pan,
Sure.
Well, who knows? We can try it. Somebody else can try it.
Somebody else
Try it and
You
let
can
us
do
know
a
how it goes.
panini. Another aspect is a panini.
Okay.
I like hot sandwiches better than cold sandwiches.
Way better.
Way better.
Totally.
Um,
I don't know anybody who would disagree with that statement.
quesadillas. You can do some good quesadillas.
Yeah, but you don't need. That's not going to help you make a quesadilla, though.
You don't have to flip them.
You do have to flip it.
Not if you have a press on it.
Yes.
Put it on there. No.
Because you have to brown both.
That's the part of the bacon press that does it.
But once again, you're talking about having a hot bacon press. I mean, you have to have like a red hot bacon press to do
I don't know.
it. A bacon press is not going to just like inherently
I agree with you.
brown something.
I agree with you.
Okay.
So that's just what
I'm just not sure what you're like. How magical you think the bacon press is?
I've used one before, and it's phenomenal
I
on bacon.
I believe you.
So.
And
Borrow mine.
And you can borrow Juan's here pretty soon because he
2
bought
days.
one.
I'll give
As
you 2 days.
as in 2 days, Juan will have one. He bought one while we're recording. Here's the deal:
okay.
bacon press keeps things mainstream. It keeps things the way they're supposed to be,
It keeps things flat, is what it does.
and it keeps things how they're supposed to be. It's a greater good. It keeps things as a greater good.
You can't say that. You can't generalize.
I can do that with bacon.
Yeah, but you can say it keeps bacon the way it's supposed to be, but
It keeps bacon.
you can't
it's a
say it
greater
keeps
good.
things the way
Okay,
it's
I'm
supposed
talking
to
about
be.
bacon.
Okay,
Um,
I will allow it then.
okay. Mental prayer does the same thing. And
Mental
that's our,
prayer is totally the
and
bacon press.
that is our topic this evening. So when we get back, hopefully we've gone about 12 minutes now.
I think
I feel like that
Probably.
we have. When we get back, we will talk more about mental prayer. We're on the Lord's team.
the winning side.
So raise your glass.
Okay, now Juan.
Go to the 3.
Yeah.
And make sure you watch that because for whatever reason,
Once you click the record button, you can click away from that.
and it should be fine.
That-
That's
screen.
what I did because I heard the music.
Yeah, I heard the music too, but I looked over there and it
recorded-
stopped,
It recorded right until the music went,
and then it stopped.
and then it stopped.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm sure that people are laughing
At
at this point in time, and to be honest with you, I don't blame you, whoever it is.
This is your first time to produce anything, though, so
Yeah, this is Juan's first time to produce, so give him some slack. Pray for him. He needs it.
And fast. Pray and fast.
Prayer and fast.
So we got some requests for a Catholic Men Show bacon press,
That's a brilliant idea.
That is a good idea.
and it evolved into a Catholic Men Show toaster and a Catholic Men Show microwave.
You know what? I need a new toaster and a new microwave, actually. The handle broke off of our microwave.
Okay, so let's. Our topic is going to be mental prayer
Yeah.
and distraction in prayer. That is going to be our topic this evening, as long as we can get it recorded.
Wait, so I got a comment here that I
Okay.
identify a lot with.
Okay.
Somebody's very disappointed that you don't raise your glass when you say raise your glass on video.
That is a good.
So
That's a good comment. A lot of times we do.
so
We didn't this evening. Also, it's also because we're kind of just winging it right now because we weren't sure if this is even going to make it on the show.
but it's okay.
But we don't typically do that.
you don't
Not after the first segment.
Yeah. Yeah, we do it on the typically
The first segment we definitely do it, but after that we don't. Can you use kale for a bacon press? Michael Savath.
stop.
You would.
No, you cannot, Michael Savath. No, you
I
cannot.
think he means can you put the bacon press on the kale?
I don't know. That's not something that I've done. I can't say yes or no to. Adam Lunt is watching right now.
Are you allowed to fry kale?
I don't know. I have no idea about
Doesn't
kale.
that wouldn't that like defeat the whole purpose of eating
Hey,
kale?
do you remember Adam Lunt?
Yeah. Of course.
Dude, he is killing it on a OSU football blog right now.
Really?
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of. He knows way more about football than I do now, which
Wait.
I would have not said that ahead of I
Way to
would
go,
not have
Lunt.
said that. 10 years ago I would not have said that, but now I do. He knows more than I do.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this. One, let's make sure that this segment gets recorded. If it's not, you stop us ahead of time.
If it doesn't make it through this thing, I'm gonna stop you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 3.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side. So raise your glass. Adam Minahan sitting with David Niles.
That was for the fans.
That was for the fans, yeah. So if you're listening via podcast, welcome back. I'm not sure where we cut off.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how that last segment ended for you.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
It could be a good teaser for a reason for you to go watch the video.
On YouTube. Yeah, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, so tonight our topic is going to be distraction in prayer. We're mainly talking about mental prayer here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different levels. This is something that blew my mind.
Prayer comes
Prayer.
in many genres.
Yeah, there's like vocal prayer, mental prayer, contemplation,
Contemplative
prayer. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of
And
different.
you can be distracted in any of those.
correct.
Like I get distracted even in vocal prayer.
I think some of the saints would say that vocal prayer is the easiest to get distracted.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
So I don't think you're in the minority there.
All right.
So there's in mental prayer, we're talking about mental prayer here. So obviously not vocal prayer, but mental prayer, meaning that there's not words being said aloud.
Right.
There is active prayer and passive prayer in mental prayer.
Okay.
Active and passive.
Okay. I think I can understand active mental prayer.
Okay.
So
Before,
describe to me what is passive.
Okay, I'm going to describe both of them just to make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay.
But-
good idea.
Everything that I'm pulling tonight is from a book that I personally absolutely love.
Hold it up for the beverage cam.
Okay. This is a book that I read once a year.
Lower.
Put it in
Lower.
the beverage
I'm sorry.
cam.
A beverage
Over
cam.
here.
Sorry. I'm new at this. This is a book that I read once a year. I make sure to read it one time a year because every time I read it, I get something new out of it, and it puts my prayer life into perspective. it's called Ways of Mental Prayer, and it's put out by TAN, so you can get it basically anywhere Catholic bookstore wise, and Amazon and everything else. It's by Vital. I don't know how to really say his name, but it's Vital Laity, I presume.
I think laity is a good pass at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
A very holy priest,
Or Lahodi.
Lahodi, a very holy priest introduced me to this book.
Okay.
A while back ago, and I can't recommend it enough. I've actually said this on the show before.
Yeah.
But it's called Ways of Mental Prayer. Go look it up. So, active prayer is the soul's effort. It's when the soul's effort is predominant and God's action is less evident, and the supernatural is less evident. So it's more of you. It's more of what you're doing.
So like when you're doing the talking, so to speak.
So to speak, yeah, but mentally.
Right.
It's real, but it's still less evident that it's a supernatural act.
Mm-hmm.
The passive prayer is when God's action is stronger and goes so far as to reduce the soul to a certain passive state, more or less accentuated according to the degree of the mystical union. So
passive is better.
Passive is better.
See, at first, if you had asked me which is better, I would have said, oh, well, active is better. Like you would be wanting to take an active participation in, your prayer.
Right.
But no, passive. That's what we want. We want to be, because we're receivers in the God-humanity relationship.
Correct. So passive is more of, I'm doing less, I'm receiving more.
Okay.
So
that sounds better anyway.
Right. So when you're in mental prayer, Dave, how much mental prayer do you do? Outside, maybe the rosary is a good form of mental prayer if you're not saying it vocally because you're meditating on the mysteries of Christ. It's basically like a Bible on a rope.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know. Even if I'm saying the rosary out loud, ideally, there's still,
meditative aspects
right,
to it.
Because, I try to. This is something I try to do.
Right.
I have an incredible success rate at failure when it comes to...
A success rate at failure.
My success rate at failure is very high.
Okay.
When it comes to actually meditating on the mysteries, it's something I try to do. This is what happens. I'll get to the Glory Be, and it's like, dang it, I didn't even think about the mystery once. And then it's like, here comes Our Father, and I say, all right, but this one,
I'm
gonna knock this one out of the park. And usually, by the time I'm maybe 8 to 10 words into the Our Father,
you realize
I'm already like thinking, like, you know what? If oil is essentially made of bones, like dinosaur bones from a long time ago, and plastic is made of oil, and sometimes they make dinosaurs out of plastic, then it's like the plastic dinosaur is made of real dinosaurs. And then it's Glory Be to the Father, and it's like, dang it, I didn't even think about that.
Okay, so there's distractions. So this is what you're talking about. You're distracted.
Like the dinosaur dilemma.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
or conundrum, whatever you call it. Yeah.
Sure. So there's 4 aspects that of distraction that this book points out. So we'll try to go through as many of them as we can.
Mm-hmm.
The first one's called distraction due to levity. Okay, which is basically, I think a lot of guys can relate to this.
Yeah.
Because how many times, as a maybe defense mechanism or I don't know, you're vulnerable, so it's a mechanism for your vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a serious moment, you make a joke.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think everybody does that.
Okay, hit record. So, yeah, levity, distractions due to levity is basically when men, levity, so it's basically when it's taking something that's in a serious matter and try to throw humor at it.
Yeah.
To avoid the serious matter. I think guys can.
Is it always that? Is it always something serious that you're making a joke out of, or is it just like joking in general? I don't know.
Well, my understanding is that it's more of when there's a serious matter to be taking place and you try to make light of it to avoid the serious matter.
Okay.
it's kind of like your ears are made to hear, your tongue is made to speak, your eyes are made to see. There's certain moments that are made for certain instances, and whenever you avoid or negate what that purpose is supposed to be, you're not using it to what it's supposed to do.
Right. Okay.
So that's one of the distractions. Is like you realize, or not realize, but you take something that's supposed to be sacred, something that's supposed to be quiet, mental prayer, a communion with God, and you start
making jokes with Jesus,
or just making it like taking it lightly.
Okay.
Taking things lightly.
So it's not necessarily funny. It's just you're not giving it the seriousness it deserves.
Okay, wait. So the last time it stopped, I don't think I caught it right away. So, do we want to go back and listen to
No.
We're just gonna keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going. Nope. Yep.
There. Okay.
Yep. Go. Yeah. So it's basically like trying to make it light.
Okay.
Trying to make something a light matter. And that's something that I think a lot of people in this day and age struggle with, because there's not very many times that we have to worry about something being serious, like taking something serious anymore. One of a good example, I think,
Unless
that
it's PC.
politically correct.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
I mean,
people.
so one of the things
People
that
take that pretty serious.
one of the things that I love, and I hope this tradition never dies, is when a funeral hearse and everything goes by, and there's a whole procession of cars, and they're all driving, and people either pull over to the side of the road, people stop what they're doing, and show their respect.
Turn their lights on.
Yeah, and show the respect as the procession goes by.
Mm-hmm.
That's showing the dignity that it deserves, showing the, I don't know, I mean, like whatever it's supposed to deserve, and taking it in what it's due, giving it what it's due.
You don't see very many funeral processions anymore.
Maybe people aren't dying as much.
Could be. Could be. I'll bet it's Obamacare.
Okay, so the next one is distractions due to passions. So that's basically that's a lot of being emotional.
Okay.
How many times have you been in prayer and you start praying for either a certain circumstance or something that you're trying to work on, and all of a sudden you realize that you're thinking about the reason, you justify why you're doing it and why this person said this person said this to me, so I said this back, and even though I said it back and that's not right, but he said this to me and
he deserved it.
He deserved it, and then all of a sudden your blood pressure's up a lot, and you realize all of a sudden you're angry, or
Yeah.
you've lost your peace. You're not even praying anymore.
Yeah.
You're playing these ideas through your head of, if he said this to me, then I would say this back to him if I had it to do over again. I've done that before.
Totally. I do. Yeah, definitely I've done that. In fact, I think I admitted on the show one time that sometimes I have debates with Nancy Pelosi.
Right?
You remember that?
I think you did say that.
She'll say something just dumb, and anyway, I'm not trying to make this a political show,
Right.
but I've done that. That's just that's the only example I can come up with.
Okay. The next one is distractions due to employment, which
Okay.
which affects a lot of people who are workaholics.
That seems. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, if you don't have a job, that seems pretty legit.
No, it's
be
more
distracted.
of. I think it's more of that you are. You can't take your mind off of work, and it
Okay.
keeps coming back.
Okay.
Or like you don't have work. Maybe you're trying to find work and you're praying and it just keeps coming back, and you can't get that off your mind. Or you're workaholic and you can't turn off. You're in adoration or something, and all of a sudden your phone beeps and it's an email, and you just can't help yourself.
You can't not look at it. Yeah.
Right. You can't turn work off.
Yeah. Okay. That seems more legit than if you don't have a job. Like, that seems like a pretty good reason to be distracted. I mean, it sounds like a really good thing to be praying about, and so if it's distracting you while you're praying, maybe that's okay.
And it goes back to last week when we were talking about noise. We were talking about the power of silence. Like, if you can't turn off what's going on around you, then you can't really commune with God.
You're talking about the workaholic now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the workaholic.
I agree.
And that's something that, even last week when I said, I gave it the example of when you pull into your driveway, sit there for 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes or whatever, and decompress about what's going on with work. And okay, tomorrow I have to achieve this, and this, and that way, in your mind, psychologically, you said, okay, I've taken care of that now. I can move on, and now I can go be with my family.
Right.
That's something that I struggle with. I know you don't struggle with it as much, but that's something that I struggle with. I have to.
I mean, I think a lot of people do.
Right. So, when we get back, we're going to talk about the ways of mental prayer, what they suggest on how to avoid these distractions.
Okay.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. One, I don't know if the reason why it cuts off because you, do you think it's because he,
I think once, I think I discovered why this one happened. I think that I was in here and I placed something for the camera, maybe 0. I didn't notice.
Oh,
it.
0.
Oh.
If you have it, 0 is shortcut for stop in Cubase.
Yeah. So if you
That's
don't
what
if you don't click over to okay, that's what happens.
So
Okay.
once you click record, click over on vMix, and you don't need to go back to Cubase until.
Yeah, I was just I checked Facebook and then I went back to Cubase.
Yeah,
and
that's the
then
problem.
0. So maybe we just change the keys and 0 is not involved.
No, just don't just hit Cubase and then leave it alone.
Okay.
Any
Questions? Yeah.
questions?
We had actually a really good question.
Okay.
Let's see.
Good. I'm glad we had really good questions.
From
And I'm
Brian-
really excited to see what Dave has to say about it.
From Brian Tomlinson. Tomlinson.
Tomlinson? Yeah.
When do you let go and let the Holy Spirit take your thoughts, even if the thoughts can seem like a distraction?
Okay, so he said, when do you let the Holy Spirit go and you or when the Holy Spirit talks, when do you basically
When
let
do you
that
let
happen?
go and let the Holy Spirit kind of lead
Even
your,
if you
lead
think
your
it's a
thoughts?
distraction.
Yeah.
So what this book says is you let it happen immediately. Let it go. Like if the Holy Spirit is gearing you towards a certain path, even if you're praying the rosary, this book says basically if you're praying the rosary and all of a sudden you're meditating on a certain mystery and it takes you to a different place, it takes you to this next place. Allow it to happen.
So how do you know if it's the Holy Spirit who's guiding you?
Well, it depends on what the thought is, probably.
So like Father Joe, one time, our late pastor, he's not dead.
Not late, yeah.
He's not dead, but he's in Alaska.
Basically, he's okay. Go ahead.
He was talking about distraction in prayer one time, and I just remember this because it's like, oh, that's very useful. And he said, oh, if you find yourself thinking about rice farmers while you're praying the rosary, then use that distraction as like, all right, well, then I'm just going to pray for rice farmers, and now I'm going to get back on track. So like, if you are distracted thinking about something, then go ahead and just pray for it.
And then be done with it.
And then be done with it, yeah. And it's like, okay, that seems like pretty good. Also, if it's Satan who's doing that, that'll teach him. I like to find other stuff like that. Like, all right, well, if the devil is going to tempt me in this way, sort of like St. Jerome, who anytime he was tempted towards lust, he used that, anytime he was tempted in that way, he would study his languages.
Right.
So that he'd become a better translator. So he ended up becoming this phenomenal translator. So
Yeah.
it's like, that'll teach Satan to tempt me that way.
Yeah.
More questions.
Okay. Next question. Brian, we probably didn't answer it. I'm really sorry, but
Yeah.
go get this book. You'll really like it.
All right, one more question.
One more question, then we're gonna get going. One.
What kind of distraction is it when your rowdy 2-year-old son sneaks up on you in the middle of prayer and tries to scare you?
What kind of distraction is it when your rowdy 2-year-old son sneaks up behind you and tries to scare you while you're praying?
Yeah.
That's the question. It's a beautiful distraction.
I like that.
Because your son needs to watch, needs to know that you're praying, needs to see that you're on your knees praying at night. So it's a beautiful thing.
And of course, the only appropriate response is absolute ignoring him. Do that whole I'm praying and I'm oblivious to everything else around me move.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Don't
but,
do that.
But that's what I would say to that.
I think that's a good distraction.
Okay. Let's keep going, Juan. Let's get going on the next segment. The last segment.
You're doing a great job, Juan. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles. Here with Adam Minahan. Juan Posada is on the computer. He's producing for us today. We're talking about distractions during prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm the king of this.
Right. The last one, we got to 3 before the break hit. And the last one I want to get to real quick because then I want to talk about the remedy of all this.
Okay, can I say one thing? I think we mentioned this on the show before.
Okay.
When I pray the rosary, if I can say one Hail Mary, the whole rosary, I mean, I'm talking the whole thing, without being distracted, I count that as a big win. That's how big of a problem this is for me.
Well, I don't think you're alone on this.
I mean,
whatsoever.
that is the truth. I'm not exaggerating. And part of the problem is I pray the rosary in the car while
And
I'm
that makes it
driving,
tough.
you know, and it's like, there are things, I could die at any moment. You know, if I don't pay attention to the driving,
Right.
that's not good.
Right.
And that's an excuse. I know it is. I think.
Okay. The last
I
one.
just had to get that off my chest.
I'm glad you did.
Thank you for listening.
The last distraction is due to weakness. And this is more of you just allow your mind to wander. I think everybody has distractions, and once you realize you have a distraction, there's a temptation of continuing the distraction. Okay, so like kind of like what you're talking about, your dinosaur, your stupid dinosaur example.
Yeah.
Halfway through it, you realize, oh, I'm thinking about this instead of praying.
Mm-hmm.
Do you finish that thought, or do you get back to praying?
Right.
And a few weeks ago, you brought an example up, and I wasn't sure how I was going to reference it at the time, but I knew at some point I'm going to reference this.
Excellent.
And you talked about whenever you were driving down the highway and there was a wreck in front of you, and you purposely, once you get there, you do not look.
Don't look.
Because everybody's stopped and backed up because everybody wants to look at this wreck, you know, before they pass.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of doing that, you keep what you're supposed to be doing on the road, eyes ahead, and you keep driving.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of an example of like this distraction in prayer. Like, you know something's coming, you realize it. Okay, I could go and look, and I could slow down and continue backing up traffic, or I can continue going.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an example, I think, that we could bring up.
It's
on
so hard to
the
do.
distractions that we. But you know, you remember whenever you said you were talking about it, you said, "I'm not sure if this is efficacious or not, or if it makes Jesus happy, but it forms your will
Yes.
on these little parts of realizing that I can't do this because this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be doing X and not Y."
Yeah, the will is a muscle.
Right.
Yeah, people don't often think about the powers of your soul. But when you read St. Faustina, for instance, she talks about, you can hear Jesus say to her throughout the course of the book that in the beginning you were not strong enough to withstand this. Like she literally, the powers of her soul had not, her spiritual muscles couldn't have taken it. But then at the end of the book, she's like a rock star and she can handle it. All this crazy suffering.
So I want to read this little excerpt real quick. It says, "Every distraction, whatever its source, is culpable when deliberately entertained or when voluntary in its cause. Not so, however, if it is posited the cause, which recognized as such is sufficient motive, and if, moreover..." Okay, so basically it's basically saying that you're culpable for any distraction if you realize it's a distraction and you continue going.
Yeah.
Is basically what it's saying. I'm sorry, I didn't like.
I think lustful thoughts would be a good example of that. You know, like sometimes, especially for men, I think, you're going to just have a thought pop into your head. Okay?
Right.
That doesn't mean that you put it there. You know, sometimes you just have a lustful thought. The sin is not in having the thought. The sin is in entertaining the, continuing the thought.
And that's kind of what Carlo was talking about whenever we had him on, like, a few weeks ago, about the will and the intellect, the will of the intellect.
Yeah.
And how you have to formulate the will before anything else happens. Because if you don't realize it and you say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. If you don't do that, then it can lead you down these paths of habitual sins or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's the red flag. Forming your will is the red flags. Is the caution flags that can get thrown up.
And see, this isn't my problem. I'm sure that there are many people. I'm sure there are people who struggle with it. I always get angry whenever I'm distracted. Like, ugh, I'm distracted again. And it's like, and then I'll, think about the mystery. And it has to be seconds later that I am distracted again. And it's the worst. I mean, even when I pray the rosary in adoration, it's better. But still, I have ADD. I hesitate to even say that because I think that's just an excuse. I think that as a person who's been diagnosed with ADD, I think back in the old days, you just had to learn to be a man and get over it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Maybe it's going to be a little harder for you than everybody else. That sounds like a personal problem.
Right.
Okay? So I wish I could do this. I need to read the book. I will read the book. Can I borrow the book?
Once I'm finished with it.
Thank you.
Okay, so the remedies. Let's talk about the remedies really fast. We don't have a whole lot of time left. So the remedies of distraction and prayer. The sole remedy is basically to combat these distractions. Number one is to humble ourselves in God's presence. For humility is the remedy of all of our problems. And there's a couple things that we can talk about there. Basically, you know how sometimes people, when they start off in prayer, they say, "Let us remember that we're in the holy presence of God."
Yeah.
Before they start their prayer.
Yeah, we used to do that at Bishop Kelly.
Right, yeah, absolutely, at our high school. That is a great practice, I think, to do, because before you can really get into prayer, you need to make sure that you realize what you're doing. It's an intentional thing, right? So before we get going in this conversation with God, let's remember that we are preparing ourselves to converse with the creator of the universe, with, our whole, the Alpha and the Omega.
Mm-hmm. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, right? Every time. So humbling ourselves, I think, every time is good. And so one of the things I thought of would be, as you realize you're in distraction, you just stop and just embrace the idea of having God, like being in God's presence, and whatever that looks like for you. So for me, I know that this is kind of an abstract thought, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but for me, it's the idea of being on the rock that Jesus was laying on, if he was. I'm kind of going off of the Passion of the Christ, but in Gethsemane, whenever he was about to endure his passion.
Well, there you can go to that rock.
Yeah, you can go to that rock. That's right.
You can celebrate. Well, you can't, but if you go there, they celebrate Mass on that rock.
So my idea of remembering that I'm in the holy presence of God is the idea of like putting myself right before the feet of Jesus as he's laying on this rock, understanding that he's about to go through this passion.
What I kind of do is just like think about, just sit there and like let him love me. Just kind of open yourself up and like, I know that you love me just this crazy amount, and just thank you, and just like, he's like wanting to just dump it on you.
Right.
Let him dump it on you.
Basically, like, teach me how to pray.
Yeah. Lord, teach me to pray.
The second one is gently bring your mind back to the subject of prayer, which is kind of something we talked about, but 1,000 times if necessary. So St. Faustina talked about how whenever you were in meditative prayer and you get distracted, it's always good to have a devotional book or something like that to bring yourself back to the meditative state. So there's times where you basically lose your train of thought or lose your meditative state. That's when it's good to go back to the meditative book, the rosary, whatever it is, to bring you back to wherever you're supposed to be.
Who is the saint? Maybe St. Francis, who said, if all you do is constantly turn yourself back to prayer, Like, even if you don't actually, if just it's distraction, but every time you just are trying to bring yourself back, that alone is meritorious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
There's definitely a saint who said something like that. And maybe it was St. Francis.
The last one is basically kind of piggybacks off of our last episode, which is like, stop talking. Be silent.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Like, if you're distracted, just stop. Just cease to have that thought and just sit in the presence of God.
Just be quiet.
Just be quiet.
Yeah, because in silence, there's no distraction.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times...
Because if you're doing nothing, you can't be distracted from it. You know, you can only be distracted when you're trying to accomplish X and then Y gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not trying to, if you're just being silent, I suppose that could be what you're trying to accomplish. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if quiet has no distraction.
Mm-hmm. One other thing that Father said in this, it says, every distraction, if well combated, far from injuring us, increases our merits and hastens our progress. So kind of like what you were just saying, that topic. Like, if you're combating these and you're desiring to combat these distractions and you do it well, that increases our progress. So, I mean, similar to forming the will.
Yeah, that's just like a exercise for the will. All things work for the good in the end. Mm-hmm. God orders all things to work for the good.
Yeah. So, I know this has been a little bit of a rocky episode.
Well, I'm also glad that we talked about these. Now I don't have to read the book.
No, you definitely need to dude, that's 2 pages. That was 2 pages.
I mean, here's the cures. Number 1, humble.
Right. But there's it's well worth your time. Well worth your read.
I'll read the book.
Okay. Thanks to Juan for the monk and honey beer that we drank this evening. We talked about the bacon press and distraction and prayer. Hopefully the episode wasn't too distracting. Hopefully you got something out of it. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Okay. We got to do some doctoring. This will be one of our first times to doctor an episode.
We're not going to doctor it. We're just going to pull the audio from somewhere else.
And then lay it in.
Yeah.
No, look, we're going to have to figure out what happened here.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Definitely you were talking and then I stopped it somewhere.
Yeah.
Can I drag the bar and see what
happened? No, do not do anything with that. Okay. Go back over to the Facebook really fast and see if there's anything. I don't know if there's anything worth... If we need a...
Margo says, Come Holy Spirit, teach me how to pray.
Yes.
Always a great phrase to keep repeating.
Yes, teach me. Margo says, Come Holy Spirit, teach me how to pray. Yes, that is a great way to reference back when in prayer. It's interesting that this evening's episode was very distracting as we were talking about distraction and prayer.
I know. Irony. God is ironic. This is one thing I've learned about him.
Yeah, because I mean,
he has humor. He definitely has humor.
He definitely has humor, but like there was a lot of things that I wanted to say, and I just couldn't get to it. It's funny too when people email us or comment on us and be like, "Why did you not say this?" And it's, "Why did you not say that?" It's like, well, listen, we have 24 minutes basically to talk about the whole topic.
Yeah.
And when you're on the fly, a lot of times you don't remember everything.
I do that all the time, though. Like, man, I forget. Man, I wanted to say that.
That's why I've almost stopped listening to our episodes because it frustrates me whenever I listen to it and be like,
it's good for you. The frustration is good for you, my friend.
I guess so. Well,
challenging.
If there's nothing else, I'm grateful for everybody who tuned in this evening. I'm sorry that it was a little rocky. Hopefully you got something out of it.
Margo asks if there's any cool guests coming up.
Is there any cool guests coming up by Margo?
Well, we've got the beer people.
And
we're gonna have.
What do you mean by cool?
We're gonna have.
What do you mean by cool, Margo? Like,
we're gonna have Dr. Richard Brown. He's gonna be on the show before too long.
Scott Hahn.
Richard Malosh.
Melosh. Yeah. Marcel Brown.
Yeah.
Richard Melosh.
Well, Margo, we're gonna be interviewing Dr. Scott Hahn here pretty quick. We're gonna be.
Oh yeah, have you heard of that guy?
We're also gonna be
Scott
interviewing Hector Molina here pretty soon. We're also going to be
Again.
Yeah, again. We're also going to be interviewing John Martinoni. I don't know if you ever heard of him. So
Also, Jesus Christ might make an appearance. Just throwing that out there.
So that's where we are. I just want to say I listened to the episode on beauty with my wife, and we both really enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will continue getting better. Hang in there with us.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.